you so much.
My dear fellow human beings, it is a great, great honor to share this moment with you. Please take a second to think of a moment in your lives when we felt, today I was successful. I did something meaningful. Today I feel fulfilled because I did something good. Can you do this for me? You got something? Brilliant. Now, please raise your hands, at least in your mind, if you think that you deserved this moment. Okay. This is going to be the leading question of my talk today. Do we truly deserve the achievements in our lives? But first, a little story. I have the great privilege of volunteering with the Swiss Samaritan Organization of Switzerland as a first responder. And on my very first emergency call, I drove to a neighboring village. I parked my car, forgot to close the windows, and ran to the scene. On the second floor of a small house, an elderly man went into cardiac arrest. 2 of my colleagues were already given chest compressions, and a friend and neighbor was helping in any way he could. And although the paramedics arrived just minutes later, alas, it was already too late. After 30 minutes, after we tried to do everything we could to resuscitate him, we had to admit it was over. There were 3 lessons I've learned that day. First, how fragile human life really is. Second, that despite our best intentions and greatest efforts, those efforts are too often crowned by failure. The third lesson I come back to a little later. So, are we deserving, and I'm deserving, of the achievements in my life? Let's take a closer look. I am one of the luckiest people this planet has ever seen. And I don't mean that as a cliché. I mean this in a very real, a very scientific sense. You see, I was born toward the end of the 20th century in Switzerland, of all places. So how lucky can you get? Right there. I had wonderful parents, I have wonderful parents, had a very protected childhood, and lived in peace and prosperity ever since. Happily married for 25 years with 3 wonderful daughters. So, and even more, of course, I had the great fortune to learn and pursue a profession that deeply fulfills me. As a teacher, as a high school teacher, it is my honor to guide my students towards their graduation each year. So by every metric, life expectancy, health, peace, security, I am living one of the most successful lives this planet has ever seen. Despite of my voice, sorry. Thank you for your indulgence. So, I live in this privileged world, and I dare to say that at least some of you in this room, some of us, share the same privilege. But once again, do we deserve it? Well, we certainly like to think so, don't we? After all, if we work hard, if you listen to our parents, if you listen to our teachers, if you make the right decisions, and if we then achieve something, well, we deserve to feel fulfilled because it was our work, it was our success, right? Well, I think that we underestimate the immense role that luck and chance can play in our lives. Okay? And I have to add something. Before I go any further, as a teacher, I have to give you a task. In fact, two. Is that all right? It's a little late, I know. I'll try anything. Okay? First task. Please remember this old man that helped us, this friend of this just deceased man, okay? And the second task is, I'm sure you have already begun with this, keep a critical eye of what I'm going to say or what I'm saying and how I say it, okay? Sorry, that was a little intermezzo. Now, once again, we like to think that we are responsible for our successes. But I think that luck and chance play an immense role in each and every life. After all, nobody chose to exist. Nobody chose the era in what they're born into. Nor the country, or the family, or the people they're gonna meet. Let alone our genes, and our interests, and our capacities. So how can we then say and claim that we are the true architects of our achievements? In fact, let's get a step back and ask ourselves, what even is success? What does it mean to live a fulfilled life in an uncertain world? What is happiness? And should we and can we pursue it? Those are notoriously hard questions, and sometimes it is easier to think about what their opposites mean. If somebody would ask of you, make your life 10% happier in the next hour, permanently happier, and I don't mean a bottle of wine, permanently happier forever, please. We wouldn't know where to start. But if the same person would ask us, make your life 80% more miserable in the next minute, each and every one of us could think of 100 things how to achieve this, so to speak. Just contemplate, run headfirst in the next brick wall. Okay, don't do it just now. So, it is extremely important to understand this fundamental asymmetry between good and bad, okay? Between suffering and everything else, fulfillment, happiness, well-being. Physicists call this phenomenon the law of entropy. Entropy means that in any system, chaos and uncertainty will always grow when we don't do something about it. Okay? So, we really have to work against entropy. And an entire moral philosophy can be built upon this idea, that at least we should, as a humanity, act in ways that make suffering less likely in us and in others, okay? Without even knowing what the ultimate goal would be. You can put this in my feedback then. And grade me down because I can't speak in public without losing his voice. I'm sorry. So, we have this idea of diminishing entropy and suffering. Now, what does this mean for us as adults who are entrusted with guiding the next generation in the future? Let me give you four points. First, we shouldn't deceive young people. There is no guarantee. What you take for granted can be over in a blink of an eye. through violence or disease or accidents or just bad decisions or bad luck. Second, as we have seen, no one has chosen to be here or the circumstances of their lives. And furthermore, and more importantly, each and every one of us has the potential to suffer. Third, despite all of this chaos, these problems, this entropy, we as humans have this incredible opportunity to push against entropy, to work together, to help each other, and to grow and to build this future as humanity. And therefore, fourth point, we as educators, as teachers, as parents, as colleagues maybe even, we should help young people to fully develop their potential, to foster their cognitive, their creative, their ethical capacities and skills, because we're going to need each and every good human being in the future on this planet. If the history of humankind were a symphony, oh, sorry, already forgot, you know? So, as you can see, everybody is fallible, and teachers especially so. So you remember the second task I gave you. If you were my class, my students, I would now ask you to give me the grade, to grade me, to tell me, to give me honest feedback, to show me where I have failed and how to improve. So if there's one piece of advice I can give you today, it is this. Let your children, your students, your colleagues give you honest feedback. You're going to be amazed at what they can teach you. So, if the history of humankind were a symphony, there would be hours and hours of discord and cacophony. There would be moments, interspersed with moments of harmony, and as time goes by, more beautiful and more beautiful tunes. But believe it or not, the world is actually getting better. Because of course, there is war, there is hunger, there is disease, there is cruelty, there is bad luck, there are nuclear weapons and tsunamis and death. But there is also empathy and friendship and beauty and sports and literature and music and delicious food and hospitality and science and medicine and love. So, let us now get back to our story. After our failed attempt to save this old man's life, after leaving the grieving family and friends, I went home feeling heavy. Or rather, I tried to. Because you see, I let the hazard lights on, and when I came back to my car, the battery was dead. And the windows were down. And of course, it had begun to rain. So I went to the next bus stop shelter in order to wait for roadside assistance. After an hour, the mechanic arrived, and I pointed him to my car. There it is, over there in the alley. And he asked me, "What, the one with the tarp?" I didn't understand. What tarp? And then I saw it. Someone had neatly covered my car against the rain. It was the neighbor. The man who had just lost his best friend. He had noticed that my windows were down and had gone out of his way to shield my car. So that is the third lesson. I've learned that day. Yes, we may not be responsible for our achievements. We may not even be deserving of fulfillment. But if we try hard, if we listen to one another, if we help each other and grow together, then the universe may send us someone who will shelter us when it rains. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael.